talk later today. I still have to study up, but I want to talk to you later.
Okay, I'm going to be gone most of the afternoon. How about early this evening? Would that work?
Sure. I'll text you and we'll work something out.
Okay, yeah. I have another engagement after this, and
Let's see.
back until about 6.
Well, tomorrow I'm going to do a 2-day morning retreat. So that'll be interesting. How do you do a retreat on Zoom?
Retreat on Zoom.
Yes. We all are learning new tricks.
Yeah, some work out better than others.
That's right.
Hey, Alan, did the meeting go well this morning?
John Bruce keeps popping up as a name, but I don't see him.
Hey, Alan, did the meeting go well this morning?
Which meeting is that?
The Redmond Learning Center.
I don't know. If we were having a meeting, I didn't know about it because I haven't really kind of engaged with email yet today. I've been reading a book for my retreat, but I hope it went well, and I'll figure it out when we're through with Kiwanis.
Okay, I thought you actually sent the email.
No.
John, I cannot see you. Are you able to show your lovely place to us?
Who are you talking to?
Well, it could be you too, Dan. We need to see you.
I'm trying, but I'm not getting there. I think I finally broke the camera.
There you are, John. And Truman, how are you today?
I am fine, thank you, Earl. Good to
Good.
see you.
How is that lovely wife of yours?
Well, she's a little under the weather. I think she was probably going to go put some clothes on before she joined us. She's been in her nightie all morning.
Oh, okay. That's a good idea. Dave, thank you for putting all this together. We've kept you busy the last couple of days.
My pleasure.
Well, we'll up your pay.
Okay.
Okay. Well, Gary, how are you doing?
Good.
Hey, we passed the budget.
Yep.
The levy.
Yeah, we're happy campers.
But
Yeah, quite easily it sounded like. Yeah.
that's what we're going to look up.
That's an attaboy for Redmond.
That's right. It is. It really is.
Let's see.
Well, I've got a little after 12 o'clock. Are we expecting other folks? Is John Duff around?
Yeah, he's there. Just can't see him.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if we can hear him or not. John Duff?
I'm
you
here.
hear us? Okay.
John, are you still at the cabin?
No, not at the cabin.
Virtually he is.
Okay.
Be nice to, well, actually it's rainstorming up there right now. I don't think I'd want to be up there.
Oh,
Northeast Oregon's getting hammered with some pretty big rain right now.
well, not as bad as Central Michigan did.
No, not quite that bad.
Yes. Well, let's begin at a little after 12, and we'll get started here. I'd like to welcome everybody again to our Zoom meeting. Kind of an interesting approach to doing this stuff. And the first thing we'd like to do is to have our flag salute. So, Dave, can you put the flag up?
Oh, 1 second.
And if everybody else will mute, I'll simply go over the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And Dan, could you lead us in a prayer?
I certainly can. Father, thank you for sunshine. We needed it. Thank you for, again, the opportunity to be together, even at a distance. We thank you again for your hand on our lives and our community and for the way forward. We ask now you'd be in our midst. Bless this time we have. Take care of our families and our community. We ask in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Introduction of guests. Now, I know we've got at least one. How are you doing today, young lady?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me.
We know that Chris Anderson is here. And Chris will be speaking to us. And who else might we have? Anna?
Yes.
Okay. And Anna, you are from?
I'm from Madras. I go to Madras High School.
Good, good. You're our Lieutenant Governor?
Yes.
Well, thank you very much for doing that.
Thank you for having me.
Do we have other guests? Okay, we'll go with that then. And any announcements? We do have a few. Dave, could you speak a little bit about the Flag Day?
Yeah, I contacted Jeff over at Flag USA. Let me bring up this thing here. Hold on.
Oh, they do have.
He says he spoke with Randy and Nancy and confirmed that flag placement will be for Monday, the 25th. If the community wants to increase flag placement involvement for future holidays, we will adjust accordingly. First responders are scheduled for Flag Day 6th to 14th. And then it's on July 4th. For all holidays, we will ensure placement at the Y Centennial Park.
I did not get the impression, maybe I was wrong, Dave, when I read the material you sent me. They were not asking necessarily to be volunteers down there?
Well, I'm sure if he needs them, he will let us know, but no, I didn't get anything like that either.
Okay. Okay, I'm glad they're doing that. Other announcements. Well, one that I will mention is that yesterday several of us met with Rotary to discuss the possibility of some joint ventures with them, particularly as a result of us supporting their program to raise money with FAN to feed the people in the community. So I've appointed a committee of Josh and Rachel and Ann to meet with Rotary to see if there's other things that we might do in the future. Concerned that there's going to be a lot of need as a result of our pandemic, and with not as many resources available as we might otherwise have, we can't meet those if we just do it by ourselves. So we're going to look at working together. So just want to let the club know what we're doing. And Carl, could you tell us a little bit about the Vintners Dinner?
It is still in a postponement mode. I conferred with the chamber yesterday, and they're up to date on social distancing guidelines. And when phase 2 is on June 5th, it will probably be a lot more clear as to what our options are. So I think we won't make a decision until then. And we've got committee members who are for continuing it, and others who are against it. And so we'll try to make the wisest decision.
Good. Thank you very much. That's going to be a tough call, I know. John Duff, could you tell us a little bit about the golf tournament?
Yeah, we're going to probably make a decision on that about 45 days out, which is probably right around the 1st of June. Right now it is still on. It's my understanding that Reach really wants to move forward with having it. I'm a little bit on the fence on it because I think it's going to be hard to get sponsors and players and whatnot, or I could be wrong. It's kind of could be all over the place. People could be eager to want to get out and do something, and it's golf, so you can social distance pretty easy while playing golf. So a little bit on the fence on it, but we'll know more here probably first of the month.
Thank you very much. Are there other announcements? We will talk about the elections a little later in the meeting, so we'll kind of pass that on right now. Is there anything else?
Well, last week I announced that Kiwanis International was making new members, or proposing for new members, no fees for the balance of this administrative year. They're concerned that with most clubs not meeting in person, that it could have an adverse effect on international and district membership. And so you can bring in a new member, and the only fee they'll pay for the balance of the year is the $20 administrative fee to the Redmond Club. And for that, they'll also receive a shirt. And then in this week, we also received word that for any member who brings in 2 new members, will get a $10 gift card. What that gift card is for was not included, but is an incentive package to bring in new members.
Good. Thank you very much. Appreciate that, Carl. Any other announcements? Well, now I know the reason you all turned in today is this time for the joke. So, Don, you and Chris, just hang on here. And this is the joke today. This is for John Bruce. This is a teacher joke. This is a teacher goes in the classroom. It's about a 3rd, 4th grade classroom. It says, if I give you, Dave, 2 cats, then another 2 cats, and another 2 cats, how many will you have? Well, Dave responded, 7. No. Now listen carefully. I gave you 2 cats, another 2 cats, and another 2 cats. How many would you have? And Dave again responded, 7. The teacher said, now let me put it to you differently, Dave. I gave you 2 apples, and 2 apples, and 2 apples. How many apples would you have? And Dave responded, 6. The teacher said, good. Now if I gave you 2 cats, and 2 cats, and 2 cats, Dave, how many would you have? Dave said, 7. The teacher said, Dave, where in the heck are you getting 7 from? Johnny said, because I already have 1 freaking cat.
One pregnant.
You got that, Dave? Okay. Now that the good part of the meeting's all gone, I guess. Chris, could you take a few minutes and talk to us about, what are you going to talk to us about?
Chris Ritchie or me? Christian.
You, Chris, you.
Yeah. So I've actually prepped about 20 minutes or so. Is that going to work for you, or is that too much? Okay, that works okay? All right, good deal. So before we get started, maybe Dave, as I go through the presentation, you can take a look at the chat section and see if any questions are coming in.
Okay.
And then at the end of the presentation, I'll address any questions that you might have. I think that might make it easier, or you can just talk at the end of the presentation and do that. We're going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to, of course, first share my screen. But Dave is working on enabling that, I bet. Do a screen share. So if you enable participant screen share, Dave, that'd be awesome.
Hold on.
While we're doing that, so I'm going to ask you to walk and chew gum at the same time here. So if you have your phone handy or a second computer screen, if I can ask you to go to a website called menti.com. It's MENTI.com. And then I'll give you a code here in just a second. And I'll ask you 3 simple questions, and we'll look at the answers together. However, we won't know who answered what. So just, don't worry about that part. So I know Josh Werner gets a little crazy sometimes. So if you go to menti.com on your phone or on a second computer, that'd be awesome. All right, let's see if I can share my screen. That looks good. One moment, please. All right, so if you go to menti.com and you enter the code 50076, it's shown on the screen. Do you see my screen right now? Perfect, all right. So the menti.com and the code is 50076. The first question, go ahead and answer that. And the question is, have you or any of your close family members ever worn braces? Okie doke. Voting is closed. 7 people voted. Hang on a second here. If more people need to vote.
We have no place to vote.
Okay, so that might have been because, oh, so if you go to menti.com and you enter that code, it doesn't give you any space to click a vote?
Affirmative.
Okay. All right. 10 people have voted. And I have to admit, this is the first time I'm trying this, so I'm putting myself out there and exploring new technology. So in terms of showing in order to show the results, I think I just click next and we'll see. It probably is going to show it at the end. So guess what the average cost of braces is today? Is it between $1,000 and $3,000, or is it between $3,000 and $5,000, or is it between $5,000 and $8,000?
Okay.
So we have 10 people voting, and the majority of the votes came in for the amount between $5,000 and $8,000. That's correct. The average cost for braces without complications is $6,000 right now. So for those of us that have had kids in braces previously or have had our own braces, that's a very different number. And it's simply because the technology is getting more complex and more education is required, more safeguards are required. And of course, there's more liability as well. So the correct one is between 5 and 8. And in one word, what comes to mind when you think of severely crooked teeth? So for the person who, let's think about 8th grade. And I'm not thinking about a little bit of a misalignment or something like that. Just think about 8th grade going through the social minefield of trying to make friends and trying to do well in school and all that stuff. So just put a word in there. And we'll see if there are any common themes there. So the words in the word cloud right here, the words that are biggest are the ones that most people have independently entered into the field. So embarrassing sticks out, and that's just from this team here. So embarrassing, and that's for someone who has everything in order, like a couple of parents at home, maybe they have a comfortable social status and they have access to orthodontic services and they have a supporting family with resources, but and somebody who can help them get through it without as much embarrassment as possible. But think about what this means for someone who does not have access to any of that stuff. So that's basically, that's just a little bit of a, and then let me see if there's a way for me to show the first one. Yeah, I can't show the first one, but I'm gonna guess that the majority of people in our meeting today have either worn braces or have had children or grandchildren who have worn braces, or somebody in their family. It's very common. So that was just a quick little survey. My name is Christian Muller-Anderson, and I'll just tell you briefly about myself, my own background, and why I'm doing what I'm doing. I was born and raised in Denmark, moved here to America when I was 25 years old. And the reason why I'm telling you that is because sometimes I'm going to stumble on words, and it's just because English is my second language. So bear with me on that one. I am excited right now because my youngest is 19. She goes to SOU in Ashland, but then of course she's home because of coronavirus. So she's at my house doing online learning. So that's a good chance for us to get reconnected and exploring what it's like to live with a 19-year-old. It's fun. You should try it. My other daughter, who's older, she's 26, and she's lived in Beaverton for about 6 years, and her fiance are moving back to Central Oregon. So we're very excited about that. Have a house in Bend, and so the whole thing is just kind of like this. So that's the side effect of this for us, is that we feel more tightly knit as a family. We've gotten a chance to get reconnected and explore, new sides of ourselves. So that's been good. In terms of my career, I primarily spent my previous career in the private sector. I worked for Scan Design Furniture for 11 years. I've worked for Verizon Wireless and Cellular One, Unicell, all those guys, for about, I want to say 17, 18 years. And then I did a 9-month stint for the state of Oregon. So I ended up being the manager for Madras, Prineville, and Redmond WorkSource. And I certainly learned a lot working for the state of Oregon. And all that experience, obviously the private sector experience, and added to my state experience, has given me a really good foundation for working for a nonprofit, which is a new chapter for me. So I started in September with a Smile for Kids, and as executive director, and I can tell that this is what I love to do. I go to bed every night feeling like what I do has a positive impact in the world, and that wasn't always the feeling. I'm just going to call it like it is, working for Verizon Wireless. Just because you're selling a product, which you try to make, you try to make the best of it, but it doesn't feel the same when you work for a nonprofit. It's very rewarding. So anyways, enough about me. Let's jump right into the presentation. So I'm just going to ask if everybody sees the presentation on the screen.
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
Affirmative.
Say it again.
Affirmative.
Oh, perfect. I appreciate that. So, all right, so the mission of a Smile for Kids, based out of Redmond, but we serve kids all over Oregon, is to empower under-resourced youth through orthodontics, education, and community service. And so exactly what does that mean? There's a whole bunch of stuff in that mission statement. Well, we're a nonprofit, so we're 501c3. We only serve under-resourced kids, and the kids are between 11 to 17 years old. When they get older than that, it's harder to keep track of them. And with orthodontic services, you have to have a strong connection with them for at least 2 years. We also only work with kids that suffer severe self-esteem issues. And obviously, we talked about the main word that sticks out for most people is embarrassing. So that creates a lot. But it's not that the kids are a little bit embarrassed about it. It's that they suffer from strong bullying, both online and also in real life. And of course, they also have a strong aesthetic need. So we work with kids that their teeth are not a little bit crooked. I see myself slowed down on the video. Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Not so great.
5 by 5.
Okay, interesting. All right, well, don't know what to do except continue.
It might be that you're moving away from the microphone periodically. Can you hold still a bit more?
I can try and hold still a little bit more. Yeah, it just also seems like the video is frozen, like it's tricky.
We hear you okay. We're getting a lot of extraneous noise though. Can people mute their mics, so maybe that might help?
Yeah. That's good.
Thank you.
All right. So unless you stop me, I'm just going to continue because I can't hear what it sounds like on the other end of it. Okay. Oh. Dave, I'm gonna log off and log back on again. Just give me a few seconds.
Okay.
Sorry, guys.
So Carl, that election next week, are you okay with the Survey Monkey thing that we did?
Oh, I think that'll work fine. I think with the playing around we've done, I think it's passed its test.
And you want that submitted after the meeting, right?
Right.
Okay.
Earl, when we get the program done with, I'm going to go over and have people, if you could, read through the names of the people who are going to be on the ballot. Do you have that? Travis couldn't be here today.
I will get my printed list so I don't miss anybody.
Okay. Truman, you probably have had the same experience as I have working in schools, and John Bruce also. They have kids that have teeth like they were showed on the screen. That really does impact not only their self-esteem, but how they put themselves out, what their future is going to be, because as an employer, oftentimes that will be something that will keep people from, give them a second look. Did you find that to be the case?
Go ahead.
I was aware of that among the people, the women that we're working with in the community college. They had a program for women who are coming back to school and with little or no support. And one of the questions I raised privately, of course, with their advisor was, can you get a dentist to help them a little bit? Because it was obvious that their teeth were bad.
Yeah.
Bad diets, other things probably affected them more seriously.
I should also point out that in Alaska, the isolation, there was not an orthodontist in town, and he would come through on a rotating basis.
Yeah.
All right, I think I figured out what it could be that's chopping up the video, and it could be the presentation. I am going to see if this makes a difference. Hang on a second here. Sorry, guys. But those are the breaks that we're dealing with right now, right? It's working with technology and figuring out things. So there we go. Let's see if this is better. Just close some things down. All right, so I'm just going to talk without a presentation, and we'll just go from there. I think that makes more sense, just so everybody can move on with their day. It's already 12:30. What does our mission statement mean, basically? So we work with under-resourced kids all over the state of Oregon and eastern part of Idaho. And the way that we do that is we rely on counselors, school teachers, dental professionals, any other professional that works with kids without knowing them personally, referring them to our services. So that's all over Oregon and of course Eastern Idaho. Here in Central Oregon, it's specifically FAN. You mentioned FAN earlier as a recipient of some of the funds that you're going to try to donate, and they are a really strong partner for us, and that's how we connect with most of the kids in Central Oregon. We also require the kids to have a C grade average in order to start treatment. So we encourage them to keep that C grade level and above, of course, throughout the treatment, but we're not going to take their braces off if that dips below, but we work with the school specifically to help the kids improve their grades. Their first experience of the success is if we have a kid that's struggling in school with, they might be on a performance improvement plan, or they might be struggling with D's and F's. If they know they have a set of braces in front of them, and they actually can affect a big change and they can earn those braces, it's amazing what kids can do to change those grades around. Keep in mind that a lot of the kids are, because we mostly work with under-resourced kids, we work with kids that are often living in precarious situations. So they might be on their fourth foster family, for example. They may be, we have some kids that are homeless right now, that, you know, you do homework in your mom's car. And so it's a little bit different, like I mentioned earlier, than it is for a child that has all those supports already in place and the structure and the infrastructure supporting them at home. The other thing that we ask the kids to provide, and I guess I should say, it's not like they're paying us back or paying for it. It's just a way for us to help the kid get out of their own heads and feel that sense of achievement. The other thing that we ask them to do through the entire treatment is to provide 4 hours of volunteer service every single month. And so with, right now we're a little low. We have 154 kids active in our program right now, but we typically are around 200 kids active at any given time, which ends up being about 1,000 hours a month for the state of Oregon and very eastern part of Idaho. And that's a lot. And those are and it's not like I took garbage out from my dad or I swept my mom's driveway. That's not the kind of volunteer service that we're looking for. We actually ask the kids to find, and if we help them find things if they can't figure it out, places to work in assisted living facility, maybe the school cafeteria, some kind of official setting where there's another either marginalized population that they can connect with and see how they live, or just, again, get out of their own situation and help someone else, not for money, but simply to help that other person. And it's all part, so just those two things alone, keeping a C grade level above, grade level above C or C, and doing the 4 hours of volunteer service every single month, touches on so many different social determinants, and that's really what we're trying to do. So on the surface, we're known for an organization, nonprofit organization that funds braces for kids and also maxillofacial surgery if they need that through OHSU or Shriners. But we really are more interested in moving the social determinants in that child's life so that they can be more successful and so that they can figure out what they want to do with themselves, and so that they can own that experience, but more importantly, so that they can break the family cycles that they might be born into. Just because, I don't want to get into politics, but just because you're born into a certain environment doesn't mean you have to stay in that environment for the rest of your life, as long as you're introduced to new ideas outside. So that's really what we're trying to do. We currently work with, our funding model is interesting. We currently work with 64 orthodontists all over Oregon, and I'll just say Coeur d'Alene, the very eastern sliver of Idaho, but we couldn't do it without these orthodontists. So when I say braces are typically $6,000, that's the average cost if you do state average in Oregon. Of course, it varies a little bit between rural and metropolitan service area, but we pay $3,000 or up to $3,000. Most often it ends up being $3,000 for the one child to receive those braces. and the orthodontist that treats the child agrees to do the rest of it as an in-kind credit. So you can imagine it only works because we are able to work with those orthodontists, but it also gives the orthodontist in every community in Oregon a chance to affect the community they live in and provide pro bono services without losing a lot of cost. Like they get their services, they get their products covered by us. So with $3,000 per child, you can imagine that costs a lot of money. And we have we've funded treatment for over 700 kids now since our inception in 2004. We were originally part of Advantage Dental, but as of January 1st, 2019, we've become completely independent from any organization. So we are just our own nonprofit organization, and we work with all dental care organizations all over Oregon. But you can imagine with that kind of funding for one child, we are, we're constantly trying to figure out where we're going to find these funds, right? So we rely heavily on individual donations. We have some people all over the United States who sponsors a smile. So to the tune of $3,000, they'll either pay $3,000 up front and for one specific child, and we'll give them updates and we'll let them connect if they're both comfortable with that. Or they can pay it over 2 years. It's $125 a month. However they want to do it, we'll foot the bill and then they can pay us back. That's not really the critical piece, but so we have that, and that is helping us tremendously. So sponsoring a smile is a big, obviously provides a big emotional connection between the sponsor and the recipient, and finding out their progress in high school and finding out, the things that are happening in their lives because of these new opportunities that they're being introduced to. We also do quite a bit of grant writing. But grants have that, and I'm sure in this group there must have been some of you that have been part of grant writing, but grants usually come with some sort of designation or condition. You have to spend it in this area, or you have to spend it on this population. And so we try to not be too grant heavy because we don't want to limit ourselves. You can have a lot of grants designated to, say, children in Curry County. But what are you going to do with the rest of the kids in Oregon, right? So we try not to be too grant heavy. We did receive $44,000 from Spirit Mountain Community Fund for the Grand Ron tribe and all the 11 counties that they cover. So not just tribal members, but the entire population in the 11 counties. We also received $50,000 from Central Oregon Health Council for the 3 counties and northern Klamath that we're in right now. And that's a 2-year period. So we have to go after some of that money. The other thing that we're looking for is corporate giving. So we connect with 64 orthodontists. Well, there are a lot of corporations, especially within the dental field, who are interested in having sort of an in with those orthodontists. And so we serve a purpose there for them as well. So we try to form financial partnerships with corporations that have giving arms as well to help us fund services for kids there. In addition to that, we're exploring some new ways to raise funds. And I don't know if you've experienced this at the Kiwanis yet, but it's becoming more common for a group of people to sponsor something. So a classroom, for example, or a work team can sponsor the, adopt a horse or, something like that, or a zoo animal. Or in our case, can sponsor a child. So for example, if I was just to kind of pull a random example out of thin air, let's say the Kiwanis Redmond group has 60 members or so, roughly. That would be $50 per member over a 2-year period. So $25 per year. So I'm not, I'm nonprofit, so I have to put it out there, right? But I'm just saying that when a group does this, it provides 2 things: an incredible strengthens the bond in the group, whether it's a work team or a classroom or a social service organization like Kiwanis, but it also provides a really strong emotional connection between the work that the group does and the benefit to the community that they live in. So that's another way we're trying to figure out a way to help groups fund one child. And of course, and then there's peer-to-peer fundraising and crowdfunding that happens on social media. So most of us at A Smile for Kids, and especially the board, are part of the more mature demographic. And so social media is one of those things that it's not going to go away. And in fact, it's prolific. And so why not take advantage of that and connect with people who are willing to, and this could work for Kiwanis, right, as well. So people that are willing to spread the news to their friends. And then let's say 20 friends donate $10. That's $200. It's almost more valuable than one person donating $200 because you get your message out to so many people and it just kind of spreads exponentially. So we're really trying to figure out this social media, the peer-to-peer and crowdfund fundraising. And in that vein, we're working with Hubble Communications, which is a consultant or communications company out of Bend, but they have a team here in Central Oregon who's working with us to form a new communication strategy and also fundraising and staffing strategy so that we can be more relevant in our messaging, but also so that we can really sort of develop our own new identity and not be considered by the public to be part of Advantage Dental anymore. And in addition to that, we work with OHSU community research team. And I don't know if you've heard of them as well, but they have a research team that works to figure out what your organization's value is to the communities. And so they do everything science-based. They figure out the numbers, they do all the data. I mean, it's all data-based. Are we doing what we're saying we're doing? And are we creating the results that that we feel that we should be creating? And so public communication, OHSU community research, those are two huge components in our current work that we're doing. And so you'll see some new brand and also new communication coming out from us later this summer. But it's really a key piece for us in order to grow and renew ourselves and be part of the dialogue in today's world. I wonder if I can show you, as an example, we have, let's see here. Oh, is it paused? Well, yeah, okay. So we have one child right now. His name is Ewan. I'm not gonna give you any more information than that, of course. But he does live in Prineville with his sister and his mom and dad and his grandmother. And his mom and dad are, this isn't like a sad story that I'm gonna give you to make you donate money. I'm just telling you this is fairly typical of some of the challenges that we're working with, because remember, we only work with under-resourced kids that suffer from severe self-esteem issues and strong aesthetic needs. So this boy he lives with his family in Prineville. His mom and dad are both in wheelchairs. His dad is paraplegic and his mom is stage 4 renal disease. And so she goes to treatment in Bend 3 times a week. The kids help them come and go and get there, and they use public transportation to get there. And so that's a pretty big struggle, but the kids that are in that family are performing at a really high level in school. So there's this, I mean, I'm getting goosebumps right now because there's this really amazing spark in the kids there. And we really want to take that and run with it together with the child and see where we can take them, in the world. And so it's a boy that's being approved right now. We use orthodontists to help us screen for kids just from a medical perspective. And then of course, we also look at the whole story. So we talk to the family, we talk to the counselors that know them. We try to form a holistic picture of what's going on in this child's life and what are the opportunities that we can help with. So that's a kid that we're working with right now. Let's see here. I'm going from memory in terms of what we're doing. So the other thing I guess I should say in terms of statistics is that we're trying to create upstanders. So an upstander is somebody who, when they see bullying happening in school, they, yeah, it's getting choppy again, so I'll turn this off. So when they see bullying happening in school, they stand up for the child that's being bullied, and obviously the kids that are in our program have all experienced bullying, both online and also physical bullying and verbal bullying. But only 25% of all bullying that happens in school is reported to an adult. Well, what happens to the rest of the 75%? It goes unreported, and people just eat it up, you know, just like, just live with it, you know. But if we can create upstanders who are not afraid to stick up for the person that they see being bullied, and they understand the repercussions of not sticking up, then we can create an internal force that helps kids in schoolyards all over Oregon feel like they have a chance, like they stand a chance against the bully. And so that's a really big piece of what we do as well, creating upstanders. So it's already 1:45. I had more to say, but I'm just going to stop here and see if you have any questions for me.
Chris, do you have any before and after shots?
I sure do. I'm wondering, Dave, if I may email you that information. Sure. And then have you share it with the team, because it doesn't seem to, it seems to slow down my connection when I open up anything to share on the screen. So I apologize for that. And that way you can look at that.
Okay, send it to mindtosight@gmail.com. That's MINDTOSIGHT.
Perfect. I will do that. Thank you.
Anything else? Any other questions? Well, Chris, I really like to thank you for making the presentation. Having worked with kids my whole life, I've seen the impact of kids who have bad teeth.
Yeah.
You don't think about that a lot. You know, if a kid comes in with a broken arm, but he opens his mouth and he's just got nothing there. People really make a judgment about him, which is not fair, but it's something that happens. So I'm glad you guys are doing this. We appreciate you coming on. Are there any other questions from the group? If not, Chris, thank you very much.
You bet. I'm going to jump off your meeting if that's okay.
That's quite all right.
All right, take care. And I'll send you that, Dave. Thank you for that.
Sure.
We have one other piece of business, and that is next week, we will once again get an opportunity to vote on our leadership for the coming year. And so that will be done by SurveyMonkey. But we need to read the list again. And if anybody wants to jump in and say, I'd like to run for a position or so on, this is an opportunity to do it before the final die is cast, as it were. Carl, could you read that list for us?
I will do so. And one reason we're having the election next week instead of this week is that our bylaws require that we give 1 week's notice after the candidate slate is complete. Rachel Fowler has consented to step up to be president, Josh Werner as president-elect, and Penny Pritchard as vice president, and John Duff as treasurer. We have 9 members of the board of directors at large, and 4 of those terms are expiring this year. The other 5 last until next year. So we have Gary Olorenshaw and Dan Young seeking re-election, and Hannah Grandy has consented to a nomination to the board. We have 1 unfilled slot for election, so we would welcome a volunteer or nominations from anyone at the meeting today. One other position on the ballot is that of the foundation board member. Dan Tippie is the incumbent, and Alan Unger is also a candidate. But we would like 1 more person to be nominated for the board so we have a complete slate.
Is there anyone that you know of would like to step up? The pay is really good.
I think we should double it.
If that would help draw them, I'll support that. Well, talk to other Kiwanians who might be willing to do that, and let Carl or I know as soon as possible so we can put that Survey Monkey nomination out. If it is void, then we will have to take some other route to fill it. But
Well, we might,
Chris Ritchie,
being on the board,
there's something that
one extra meeting a month.
and you get to meet with some really nice people.
Well, some of us are. Chris, you want to say something?
Sure. If I'll throw myself out there, if there's a void where I can fit in and do some work, I'll do it.
Good. Thank you, Chris.
Put
Appreciate
me to
it.
work where you need me.
You'll find it very rewarding. It really is. It's not a big problem. So thank you.
Yeah.
Good. And with that, are there any other comments before we adjourn?
I have a question. Did anybody hear back from Roland? He was going to contact Dave.
Oh, no, Dave Kimball declined.
Okay. Thank you.
Good. All righty. And with that then, meeting adjourned. Have a good week, folks.
You too.
Thanks.
You too.
I'll take care.